Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Thank you. Now enjoy the show. Hey y'all, thanks for tuning in to RAERAEs Review. And this episode is called Real Housewives of New York City. This is the reboot, y'all. These are some new chicks, not the old ladies from yesteryear. You know, some would say this could be the reboot season 2, episode 4. But I think they're just going to have this continuity of the Real Housewives of New York City. I guess, whatever. This is a whole new group of ladies. I mean, I always say, look at Ubah. She's so pretty. That is a really pretty dress. I'm sorry the other ladies you can't really see. But, you know, I'm featuring Ubah. Now, Ubah was a little too much last episode in this episode. But, you know, it is what it is. Brynn just ticks her off to the office. Ubah, and it's not even a trigger. It's just, I see what Brynn does. You know, she tries to play on Ubah's top. And it's just some things that were said this episode that I don't really agree with what Brynn said, but we'll get into a little later. Well, they're in Sag Harbor. We all know about Sag Harbor, the great area of New York or the East Coast, similar and in conjunction with the Hamptons. The Hamptons? Yeah, something like that. And I always wanted to go to Sag Harbor when I saw that documentary, maybe this is a while ago. Maybe 10 years ago. Somewhere around there. The Sag Harbor documentary, it had B. Smith in there. Remember her? The lady that Martha Stewart kind of mimicked with her whole line of foods and home goods and stuff like that. And then that controversy when B. Smith was diagnosed with dementia and her then husband met this young blonde woman and moved the woman in during B. Smith's last days or maybe last year. It was real controversial because it was such a disrespect. It was so disrespectful that that B. Smith is going through dementia and he's moved his girlfriend in. Oh my gosh. I mean, where was B. Smith? I'm sorry, but he would have had to get talked to in the backyard by B. Smith's nephews and possibly I don't know, but that was real trifling. Anyway, they were in that documentary along with some other folks talking about the history of Sag Harbor and all of the generational wealth that started to deplete because of what they call gentrification. And next thing you know, Luann de Lesseps, who was the original New York Housewives cast, she got a house out there. And then Bethany Frankel, of course, another Real Housewives of New York City alum, got a house out there. And we started to tangibly see the effects of gentrification. And now Erin is admittedly have a house in Sag Harbor. So just those 3 people that I've noticed that are, I guess, gentrifying Sag Harbor, but the way the longtime residents and the generational residents of Sag Harbor explained was they were receiving a lot of, racial bias and hate due to those coming in gentrifying their home, their homestead, their lifelong home of generations and generations. Because history lesson real quick, how back in the day, once Pan-Africans were trying to find somewhere to live by being pushed out by racist lawmakers and politicians and the like. They would find spaces to live, and then once those spaces to live started to look a little tasty to those who pushed them out, then they would get pushed out further and further until they couldn't be, until there was nothing left to be pushed into, i.e. Central Park. The whole Central Park, if you didn't know, was owned and operated by freed, enslaved, well, I shouldn't say enslaved because they were freed Pan-Africans who found somewhere to be and live, harmoniously. And we're not going to even get into all the other areas of the globe specific to USA where Pan-Africans were either pushed out, towns demolished, destroyed. And of course, about the Tulsa, Oklahoma lawsuit right now. But anyway, back to Sag Harbor. After watching that documentary, it was just so interesting to see the beauty of the area. And I said, if I get enough money, when I get enough money, I'm going to buy a house out there and establish my family's legacy too, because it is such a beautiful place to live. It really is. But yeah, back to New York City, right? The review. So again, there's Sag Harbor, and the ladies are on their way to tennis camp. Didn't go so well. Sai staying away from Brynn. She's just not, in the mood to deal with Brynn and her shenanigans, like she said. Even though they made up, apparently, after that blow up last episode with Ubah explaining, even though you and Sai, meaning Brynn and Sai, kind of made up, she came to me after complaining about how you just can't let her talk and let her express herself about the situation and get that off of her. And I see you doing it with me and blah, blah. So, Sai is feeling away. And one thing that was real interesting was Raquel's conversation when, she's getting to know the ladies. And so she talked about her childhood, and her last name is very unique. Don't ask me to say it because, child, I can't. Look it up. Her name is very unique. And so they asked her about her last name, and she mentioned, well, pretty much that's not her birth, her dad's last name, or, you always take the last name of your dad for the most part. But she had to find that name way back in her family's history. Now, she's Puerto Rican, and she's not African American like Jenna thought, or Jenna said last episode. Because I was like, is she really African American? She didn't look it anyway. Like I said, she said she's Puerto Rican, and she's never really had her father in her life. Pretty much dogged her out, deadbeat. She tried to reach out to him when she was 11 or 12. Yeah, 11 years old. He hung the phone up on her, and then her mom called his brother to let him know. And then I guess through Raquel's uncle, her paternal uncle, he pretty much forced her father to arrange a meeting between, it was like a holiday dinner or something like that. So she got to meet that side of the family, plus she has some siblings, and they took pictures, like at the photo booth where you go and take pictures, and it's like 3 or 4 different small pictures, pretty much passport size photo pictures you take in the booth. He tore them up and gave them individually to each of them. And he told her bye. And that was the last time she saw him. And she was crying real bad. And Brynn said she felt, a kinship with that, considering, both their fathers ain't sugar honey iced tea. And I was like, wow, that was really, I mean, she was boohoo crying on the court. So it still affects her. And you never know how it affects people. People live their lives according to childhood trauma. And and because she was crying like that about it then, it still affects her, because she wouldn't be crying like that if she didn't feel it or have a very hurt heart behind it. And I feel kind of bad for her, because I'm pretty sure her life would be totally different had that not happened. Um, had she just not known, had that incident never happened, I'm pretty sure she would be probably living a little differently. And what I mean by that is, certain, like I said, when you have childhood traumas, you tend to live your life according to that. So I'm pretty sure relationships would be a little different. Those she's come in contact with, or maybe those she may have purposely stayed away from, would be a little different, because, with anything, if something like that hurts you, you want to stay away from that. And she's crying, bawling, crying. And I really feel bad for her at this big old age. For her to cry like that says and speaks volumes. Big ups to Raquel for even sharing that. What else is going on, child? Okay, so when they get back to the house, Brynn is a little upset. She didn't like, how Ubah and Sai wasn't really, conversing with her, and she feels the hate. So Brynn asked Erin if she can go home. Erin was like, no, stay. We can do some things, and you can just, be comfortable in your own way, and just, try and just, just try and stay. So Brynn stayed. And then Jenna comes to her and talks about the hate. She was just really looking for Brynn, but Brynn brings it up. So in order to make Brynn feel better, Jenna offers, and Brynn kind of really pushed her to wearing her diamonds, some diamond necklaces, some, what do you call it, some diamond rings. Apparently Jenna's jewelry is the coup de grace, and I don't blame you. If I can, it's cute to, to play dress up at their big old age. It's all good. So they were just talking more and more about it, and Brynn felt a little better wearing Jenna's diamonds. So then we have Sai, Ubah, and Jessel. They go shopping for the group, while the other group everybody's cooking. Well, not everybody, because Brynn's just floating around town feeling bad. And so they out there shopping, and Jessel mentioned that she pays $1,000 a month for her eggs to be frozen, and she really wants the baby. But her husband is like, no, these two is enough, child. I don't know. So then Sai offers, so sweet, to carry Jessel's babies for her. And Sai was like, for $250, heck yeah, I do it. It just seemed like Sai is out for Sai is like, listen, for the right price, I'll do anything. I know that's right. But that's such a big deal. Jess was like, I don't know if I could do that, because she would be in control and she wouldn't appreciate all of that control by Sai. She don't see it for Sai like that. But at least, it'll be a cute little something. Anyway, Jessel wants a girl, and they have the 3 or 4 eggs that's frozen. But I wanted, did she say embryo or eggs? It sounds like eggs. Yeah, she's mentioned eggs, so she didn't say that they were embryos. That's different, with a so-called already, baby waiting to be incubated. But to have an embryo, it's, you still have to inject the embryo with the sperm and hope for creation. So, that is just so remarkable that they can do that outside of a woman's womb. Oh my goodness. Anyway, So they're back from the store. Cooking is going on. Brynn is in the bed, and everyone except Brynn is cooking. Child, we all knew that. Erin and Brynn decide to prank them with some roaches. Now, see, putting roaches in my food will cause me to do exactly what Ubah did. And we're going to get into that in a minute. So Jenna talks about the sex dungeons in NYC. It was brought up because for dinner, everybody dressed up and Jenna had on this pleather, child, something that she had to oil herself to get into. And she had real low plunging neckline, with jeans and everything. She still looked like Jenna, but she was showing, a real low, to the navel plunging neckline. And so they were just saying, making fun of her. And she mentioned the sex dungeons that she went to. Pretty much, it sounded like she was on assignment journalistically and she wanted to see what was going on. Child, I guess she wanted to see what's going on, whatever. And then Erin starts the non-black Shabbat dinner. Remember the Shabbat dinner that Ebony K. Williams tried to do when she was on trying to teach everybody Black history every time we saw her? Child, I would have been tired too. Like, do we have to do everything with Black history? Come on now, Ebony K. You have to admit that was way too much. Anyway, this was a non-black Shabbat dinner hosted by Erin. I don't know, it's a whole lot of touchy-feely on folks' food. People take the bread and throw it to somebody else. I didn't see a whole lot of hand washing either. Again, it's just me, but you don't put your fingers on my food. I'm not the chef. I just don't want you to be touching my bread and giving to me. I will never forget tangent. I was at a business meeting and it was at the old spaghetti factory. And of course, there's bread on the table. This girl, it was 3 of us at the table. Now I wasn't eating bread because, bread make you spread. And I'm trying to keep this, looking good. So this girl, it was like a half a loaf. Yet still, it was a loaf of bread. She palmed it with her left. She's right-handed. She palmed one side with her left hand and cut with the right side bread. And I'm thinking, and her friend looked at her like, "Oh my God, what are you doing?" And she said, "Oh." I said, "Don't worry about it. I'm not going to eat any. That's between y'all two. Don't worry about it." Like, if I wanted some bread, I can't get none now because you done put your palms on it. And I saw you come in, sit down. That means you didn't go to the bathroom and wash your hands first, nor did you use any type of hand sanitizer or wipe or nothing, child. I'm like, bitch, like what? That's what we doing? So nah, don't touch my food. I couldn't believe that. She was like, thought nothing of it, like just palming the bread, like it was like it had her name on it. And her friend was like, "Girl, I don't even know. Did her friend have some?" Even though the other side was only touched with the knife, still, so that all that piece of bread is you, which was 3/4, shoot, probably 7/8 of the bread. Child, gone somewhere. I never forget it. That I will never forget that as long as I live. I have never seen nothing done like that. Not even with family have I seen us at a dinner table, a lunch table, or a breakfast table palm the bread with our bare hands. I'm talking about family, people you wouldn't mind taking a piece off or eating off your plate, child. Anyway, where was I? Oh, with the roaches, child. So again, they're playing a trick on people, putting roaches in this dish that Jenna had made. And so they're serving up it was a dessert. I forgot what pavlova. Forgive me for saying it wrong, but I think it's pavlova or whatever it is. And it was pretty much a flaky crust bottom. And now what it looked like to me was a flaky crust bottom with some whipping cream on top and a bunch of fruit, colored fruit, blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, things like that. And so that's where Erin had placed the fake roaches within that dish. And child, when what's her name? Jessel got her piece. Well, first of all, what I didn't like, what I saw Jessel do, she stuck her spoon in it and tasted it, and then got some her piece and put on the plate. I hope what you took originally was that exact area of food that you put on your plate, but so you didn't steal the same spoon that came out of your mouth. You dipped it in the pavlova, if that's what it's called, and then dished you out some on a plate, on a saucer. So yeah, we got some hygiene issues going on within this group. Again, I didn't see no hand sanitizer. I didn't see Jessica wash her hands, and I didn't see no wipes for people to clean their hands off. So then Jessel notices a roach in her food. And child, next thing you know, Ubah is spitting out the food. She runs to the bathroom. She hears somebody else talking about, oh, there's a roach in my. And then they start laughing, Brynn and Erin, like, no, it's a joke, they're fake. But by this time, Ubah in the bathroom, giving it up, making herself VOMIT. Child. And she was going for a long time. And Sai came in to check on her. And then Sai started VOMITING, like, oh my, that's exactly how I am. Oh my gosh. If I'm in the vicinity and don't make me smell it. Ooh, mm-mm, 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 mm-mm. Let me stop. Hold on. See, just me talking about it. That happened to me once. Oh my goodness. I mean, it's Ubah gave it. I mean, Ubah was Earling. Oh my gosh. So they was laughing and had a big to do. And so, like I said, Sai was like, well, I came in and checked on Ubah. And then I started, that's how it be. That's, oh, again, don't let me smell it. Oh my goodness. I just can't. Anyway. Ooh, okay, breakfast next morning, Jenna. Jenna's diamonds are for everyone to try on. Jessel wants to try on her ring, and it's an engagement ring. So Jenna kind of let it slip out that she's engaged. She's like, "Well, I guess, let Jenna, you too old to be him and hawing about whether this is an engagement ring or not. If you're trying to keep a secret and you let it slip out, fine. But don't be him and hawing because everybody on this show too old to be him and hawing by anything. So Jenna, stop the bull." So anyway, Brynn trains Rebecca to sell her merch on TV because Rebecca Minkoff has, she's a fashion designer, and so Brynn was secretly, with the mic on, child, telling her, "Listen, I'm throwing a lot to you. Just when I mention it, then you mention yours, and then it gets out there. I'm just trying to help you, girl, stay on the show." I'm like, see. Now they could have cut that out. See, production is messy. See, that's why I have a problem with production. They are giving us the wrong stuff and keeping the good stuff on the cutting room floor. It's the narrative that production is painting that I hate, that I have a problem with. I wish they would just be authentic and show what we really need to see instead of always trying to make a storyline and just trying to be messy. It seems like messy is the number one thing going. And they're just like Zeus Network without all the violence. I mean, they got little violins, but they ain't nothing like Zeus, but it's similar in nature where you're just trying to get mess instead of, a real storyline about these ladies and what they're doing with their lives. Like we always hear and complain, well, I did all kind of shooting for this, that, and the third, but all that was shown was the mess. See, we need a lot of balance here. So I think they should have cut that part out. Just had maybe bring it up at the reunion. Like, hey, we had a blooper reel or a cutting room floor reel, and then they talk about it. Just do something like that, but just don't just show everything just to make people seem a certain way. Ooh, that's see. Now I'm mad about production. Anyway, then Ubah announced that her and Brynn made up. Apparently, over the midnight hour, they talked and made up. But Ubah wanted to go into why Brynn just gets on her nerves, and then it brought up a whole nother adversarial conversation. Brynn is trying to tell Ubah how she felt in the moment, but Ubah won't let her. Similar to how Ubah says Brynn does Sai. And I'm like, well, Ubah, you have to let her talk. Everybody was like, Ubah, let her talk. But it just, I guess, triggers Ubah. I hate trigger because it's just so, commonplace. But, Ubah just gets so mad at Brynn because I just don't think she really likes Brynn, and she's really forcing the relationship because she's on this show and she is Ayan's cousin, and Ayan is telling her just to, make waves on the show. They like the mess. It just sounds like something like a conversation was had. Anyway, Brynn is really upset because she's trying to let Ubah know under no certain circumstance are you to talk to me like that when we're having a disagreement, but Ubah wouldn't let her. But hopefully it got through to Ubah, but everybody was just, not everybody, but the majority was on Brynn's side a little bit because Ubah was just very, just not having it with Brynn. So then Brynn goes into the whole thing of she doesn't want to engage with Ubah because she doesn't want Ubah to look like the angry Black woman. Well, maybe you should stop doing things that make her angry, Brynn. People are going to get mad and angry and aggressive and all the things when their buttons are pushed. And that buttons are pushed because that's how you deal with life. You press people's buttons. We saw it all in season 1. And so far in these first 3-4 episodes of season 2. Brynn doesn't want to be disrespected, but at the same time, my thing is, write her an email. If you can't feel like you can talk to the woman, write her an email. But I do appreciate Brynn not wanting to engage so that Ubah doesn't represent that stereotype. I get it. But yeah, Brynn, stop pushing folks' buttons. That was episode 4. That's pretty much it, y'all. That's all I got. And that's it. That's all for episode 4. Thanks again for tuning in. It was a little lengthy, but I had to say that. I had to say it. Anyway, thanks again for tuning in. Please like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already, and share this video. And happy Vlogtober.